I have an in-house videographer and in-house marketing team. They can run the podcast for me. What do you have to say about that, Cal?
Some of the skill sets that you need to be looking out for, some of the things they need to be understanding when you're looking to recruit a social media manager for your podcast is that, of course, they have to have a basic understanding of social media platforms.
Just for you guys to understand, a videographer is someone that can make videos. That doesn't mean that they understand what is the strategy that needs to go behind those videos for you to actually see the results that you want as a business owner, expert, or entrepreneur.
In particular, YouTube. That is one of the ones that I would say social media managers do not understand.
Essentially, you need someone that is gonna take care of all the technical aspect of it so that you only have to sit down and
attention to detail. Now, you might be thinking, Cal, that's obviously a given. However,
welcome, legends, to Podcast Marketing Secrets,
where we share all of the tactics and strategies from the #1 podcasting agency
on how to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful, high-converting podcast.
Let's take your business and content to the next level.
Welcome back to another episode of Pod Marketing Secrets. Today, we are talking about the team that you need to put together in order to run a high-converting podcast for your business. Cal, the first question that comes to mind, should a business owner, expert, or high-level entrepreneur run their own podcast?
Absolutely not. And I think you all already know this yourselves. You are high-level business owners, entrepreneurs. Do you not have enough on your plate already? Why the heck would you be wanting to run your own podcast on top of everything else that you are already doing? Your focus and attention should be on those key revenue generating activities in your business, keeping that cash flow alive, baby, which allows you to invest into your marketing strategies, aka your podcast.
Absolutely right. I cannot stress this enough. If you are thinking of running your own show, first of all, I will tell you right now, your show will fail. You will become part of the statistics of the high percentage of podcasts that will never pass episode 5 because you're just trying to do everything on your own. And people really underestimate how much it goes into producing a podcast at the highest level for you to become an authority in your niche and also being able to monetize it successfully. So straight away, we're letting you know, do not even try to run your podcast. You need to put a team together to do this for you. That leads to one of the most common questions that we get from high-level business owners, which is, wait, I have an in-house videographer and an in-house marketing team. They can run the podcast for me. What do you have to say about that, Cal?
You could, but you shouldn't. And here's exactly why. Particularly if we're talking about videographers here, I'm going to trigger a few people, all right? You're great at creating videos. However, do you have the strategy behind the videos in order to get conversions? And usually the answer is no. Can you talk a little bit more about creating great videos and pairing that with strategy that's required to make this thing effective?
Just for you guys to understand, a videographer is someone that can make videos. That doesn't mean that they understand what is the strategy that needs to go behind those videos for you to actually see the results that you want as a business owner, expert, or entrepreneur. Therefore, do not expect your videographer to be able to produce an exceptional results-based podcast for your business. They will be able to film it and tell you what's the gear that you need. They won't be able to coach you, provide you with the feedback for you to be the best that you can be, understand the nuances that goes into being a top-level podcaster, as well as understanding what is exactly the content that you need to create for it to be able to produce the results that you want, whether it's attracting more of your dream customers, generating pre-qualified leads, create more interest, more know, like, trust, as well as increasing your sales and conversions in the back end. So In short, no, your in-house videographer will not be able to produce a podcast that is going to generate high-level results unless they have had experience in the podcasting field specifically. And even then, in order to run a top-level podcast, you require more than one person. One videographer would not be able to handle everything that comes with producing a top-level podcast and also maximizing the amount of repurposing and content that you should be getting out of your podcast in order to see the best possible outcome.
Absolutely. So let's jump into then the essential positions that you need on your team to run a highly effective, high converting podcast. The first is your social media manager. Now, I'm not talking about just any social media manager here. I'm talking about a social media manager who understands both social media and the art of podcasting as well, and understands that there's a big difference between the two and how to combine them together, because that's essentially what we need. All right, so some of the skill sets that you need to be looking out for, some of the things they need to be understanding when you're looking to recruit a social media manager for your podcast is that, of course, they have to have a basic understanding of social media platforms. Now, in particular, of course, you might be thinking of IG, Facebook, TikTok, in particular, YouTube. All right, that is one of the ones that I would say social media managers do not understand. And for podcasting and video podcasting in particular, that is essential. All right, so they need to understand all of those platforms and also LinkedIn as well. Really fantastic one for your high level professionals. All right, so those 5 platforms at a minimum need to be understood by your social media manager. The next is graphic design. Now, fantastic tools like Canva make this really easy. It doesn't need to be Adobe level graphic design. Canva will do just fine. However, they do need to understand the principles behind things like making great thumbnails, making IG covers, ensuring that the podcast and the value you're providing there is matched by the artworks and designs that you're producing alongside that content.
And matching the branding guidelines of your business.
The next thing is attention to detail. Now, you might be thinking, Cal, that's obviously a given. However, when you are distributing and scheduling all of this content for your podcast, it's a freaking lot, okay? And so they need to have a high level attention to detail. We're talking everything down to captions, hashtags, titles. There is so much that goes into that, and honestly, if one thing is missed, sometimes it can be detrimental. If you put the wrong link on, say, a Facebook reel, that reel starts to go viral, but it's the wrong link. You're driving traffic to an entirely wrong video. And that type of stuff is important. It seems little, but it's not. And so that's where attention to detail is essential. The other thing is that they need to be proactive, okay? Social media is a rapidly changing landscape. You want them to be at the forefront of whatever changes are happening. The algorithms are changing constantly. There is so much new information that's coming out, and that person has to be on top of all of it so that you can trial it, see what works for your business, and take on board or dismiss these options as they become available. But you need to be staying ahead. The other thing they need to be on top of is research, researching trends, what's hot right now, what can you be speaking into for your podcasting episodes. Knowing how to actually do that research as well is of the utmost importance. Some things like vidIQ, AdWords, Google Trends can all be really helpful in terms of determining some of these search volumes and what people are actually looking for at the moment. The other thing that your social media manager can be really useful for is revisions. Video revisions, the short form and also potentially the long form that is being covered by your editors, which Nels will speak into in just a second, but revisions are so important. Now, I will point out here that spelling errors can also work in your favor. We have seen that happen in terms of some pieces of short form content because people love to point out when you're wrong. However, that should be used tactically, not by accident. So, revision process, not only spelling, captions, ensuring that also you're using relevant stock footage, ensuring that there's balance in the video overall, that there's not being overwhelmed with animations, ensuring that there's time for you to connect with your audience, also balanced with all these other elements. There's so many things that come into play here, and your social media manager can do all of those revisions for you to ensure that the quality of the content you're producing is aligned with the quality of the services that you are offering. And the final piece as well is just an understanding of copywriting. I say just an understanding of copywriting. That's huge. That's a huge skill in and of itself. And it's essential because your captions, your descriptions, your show notes, there's so much copy, even your EDMs related to your podcast episodes. All of that requires you to have top level copy in order for your podcast to have the best possible chance of success. All right, Nelson, who is the other essential person that somebody needs on their podcasting team?
Well, absolutely. As we have mentioned in almost every single episode, you should be producing a video podcast. Therefore, you need a videographer. You need the person that is going to film it for you, unless you have an understanding of how to just set up your space on your own and just being able to produce the content, which, by the way, is something that we help our podcast licensees do, as well as our Done For You clients. So if that's something that you want help with, make sure to apply in the link down below. But essentially, you need someone that is going to take care of all the technical aspect of it, so that you only have to sit down and talk about your field of expertise. Ultimately, that's what you want, to remove all friction so that you can be the best that you can be in front of camera and the microphone. So the videographer is going to cover all that technical side of things. Next, you should have a producer, someone that can give you feedback in real time of what's your performance of the episodes that you're doing and what can you improve on, because otherwise your experience level will get stuck or you will plateau as a podcaster. You want to always be in constant improvement, and for that to happen, you need a coach. You need someone that is going to give you guidance like a producer, and also this producer should understand your business and offers services to the T, because this is the person that is going to help you with the high level strategy and where you should keep the conversation and the things that you might be missing when you're diving into an episode, for that to be the most valuable asset that you can produce at that point in time. Sometimes you could train a videographer to be as well your producer, meaning they can take charge of the technical side of things, as well as giving you the guidance and coaching that you need and direction for you to perform at your best and for that asset to be extremely valuable. And the last role that you should have for your podcast, and I cannot emphasize how important this is you need an editor. And this should not be any editor. It should be someone that understands at a high level what makes a great podcast episode, understanding the elite podcast episode structure, what it goes into it, so that you actually generate downloads, followers, listenings, and they follow and take action on your products, links, services, and offers, as well as understanding virality, so that the repurposes of the content that you get out of that, meaning the short form videos or short form pieces of content, are actually crafted in a way that they're going to have the highest chances of you going viral. And you want to go viral as much as possible, just because that will help you get in front of more people. As we have mentioned in other episodes, we just want to make sure that if you do go viral, you go viral for the right reasons. There is valuable virality in it, and it's not for the sake of just going viral and attracting the wrong crowd to your business. And the last skill that is crucial for your editor to master is removing anything that shouldn't be in your podcast episode, so that you can look your best and have the highest chances of retaining attention across the entire episode. That includes filler words. Maybe you were coughing along the episode. Maybe you needed to re-say something because you didn't come across the best possible way. Or potentially you just went on a random tangent that is not moving the episode forward, that should probably be removed as well. So just as a recap, you need a social media manager that has all the skills that we cover. Sometimes this could be more than one person in order to fulfill all the different aspects that comes with this specific role, including copywriting, graphic design, research, social media management, and so on. Next, you need a videographer. You should have a producer, and ultimately as well, you should have an editor who is the person that is gonna put everything together to then hand over to your social media manager.
So with that being mentioned, Nels, it might be a great time for you to let our audience here know how we can solve the problem of these team members for their podcasts.
Absolutely. If you're a CEO, founder, high-level business owner making 7 figures plus that is looking to launch a high-converting video podcast at the highest level, apply in the link down below so we can dive into a free discovery call and find out what's the best way in which we can serve you. However, we have a few different options from coaching to completely done-for-you services when it comes to your podcast, as well as our podcast license, where we vet, train, and place all these social media manager roles, video editors in your business so that you can simply sit down and talk about your field of expertise, as well as taking care of all the back-end systems for you, passing on everything we have learned over many years producing dozens of podcasts and posting thousands of times every single month and being in the trenches with our completely done-for-you clients, learning everything that works when it comes to launching, growing, managing, and monetizing a successful video podcast for your business.
Damn, that's something a lot of people should get amongst. Alrighty, thank you so much everybody for tuning into another episode of Pod Marketing Secrets. We will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining us on Podcast Marketing Secrets. If you found value in this episode, the best way you can support us in continuing to deliver this content to you is by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Now, if you're keen to connect with us, we are at Vibez Creative on all your other social media platforms. Please send us your questions, engage with us, let us know what you want to hear about next on the podcast, and we'll be sure to create content around that.
And if you're interested in partnering with us for the highest level of support for you to be able to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful podcast for your business or your personal brand, we offer different levels of support, starting from our services, one-on-one coaching, as well as our completely done-for-you system. So if you're interested in finding out more, book a call with our team down in the description below.